Lonely millionaire shocked by 7-year-old's heartwarming question. Can angels bring me a dad? Daniel stared out at the sprawling expanse of his mansion, its icy facade reflecting the chilling reality of his life. Once the pride of a bustling neighborhood, his home now felt like a prison, a monument to his success that screamed loneliness. At 40, he was a self-made millionaire, but wealth didn't fill the void left by family and friends he'd pushed away for the sake of ambition. His heart was as empty as the vast halls, echoing with memories of laughter he no longer heard. That on a chilly autumn afternoon, a charity event flickered into existence at the local community center, bustling and vibrant, filled with laughter and life. Yet, Daniel hesitated at the entrance, clutching a glass of wine like a life preserver in turbulent waters. Children darted around, their faces painted in colors of joy, while families collected around tables, relishing stories and food. The warmth engulfed him, yet he stood stranded at the edges, painfully aware of the widening chasm that separated him from the very community that once embraced him. Everything changed when he met Emily, a spirited 7-year-old girl with the kind of eyes that could light up the darkest room. Despite her small frame, she carried an enormous weight, a recent loss that shadowed her innocence. With a charmingly crooked smile, she looked up at Daniel and asked, "Can angels bring me a dad?" Her words pierced through him, shattering the carefully constructed wall around his heart. In that moment, Daniel was confronted with the bitter truth of his own choices, the emptiness echoing back from her hope-filled gaze. That he found himself entranced, observing the families around him. Their faces gleamed with laughter, yet behind them lay struggles that felt unjust, the rising costs of living painting a reality starkly different from his own golden cage. In that instant, Daniel felt compelled to make his wealth matter. He envisioned creating programs that would heal the wounds of loss, to rebuild what he had lost: family, community, connection. His heart raced with purpose. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. However, when he launched his initiatives, the good intentions morphed into misunderstandings. Instead of gratitude, he faced resistance. His efforts appeared patronizing, driving the very people he wished to help further away. Retreating back into the cavernous silence of his mansion, disappointment weighed on him, louder than any applause he had ever received. Days later, an unexpected visitor appeared at his door: Emily, with her brave, sparkling eyes. She confronted him, her words igniting a fire of self-reflection within him. She challenged him to truly understand what it meant to belong, to be present in people's lives. As her earnest gaze met his, Daniel felt the weight of her honesty. The realization swept over him like a cold wave. He hadn't spoken to his sister in years. Standing on the precipice of his choices, he was left wondering, could he finally take the plunge and bridge the gaps in his life? Or would he remain ensnared in the loneliness he had so meticulously crafted? Daniel sat on the edge of his vast, empty couch, staring at the intricate patterns of the Persian rug beneath his feet. The silence wrapped around him like a heavy blanket, almost suffocating. Emily's words played over and over in his mind. Can angels bring me a dad? They weren't just a question, they were a catalyst. Something deep inside him was stirred, more profound than mere guilt or sadness. As the sun dipped below the horizon, he picked up the phone, hesitating as his finger hovered over his sister's name. The idea of reconnecting was daunting. What could he even say? They hadn't spoken since the family gathering that had ended in hurt feelings and cold silences. But the longing in Emily's question pushed him forward. He pressed the call button, but before it connected, doubt flooded him. What if she didn't answer? What if he had waited too long? Just as he was about to hang up, her voice burst through the line. Daniel? The sound stirred something in him: familiarity, warmth, and a strange sense of vulnerability. Hey, Claire. His voice was almost a whisper. What is going on? It's been ages. A mix of emotions washed over him as her words hung in the air. Yeah, I know. I was thinking about us. What do you mean? He swallowed hard. I want to make things right. I miss you. There was a pause on the other end. I miss you too. This is sudden, Daniel. What happened? Taking a deep breath, he poured out his heart, crafting sentences filled with his regrets, his loneliness, and that fragile spark ignited by Emily. I pushed everyone away. I thought I had to focus on work, on being successful, but I see now that it was all empty without family. She sighed, and he could hear the softness in it. This was no longer the sideways approach of hurt and anger. I understand, she said slowly. But it's not that simple. You can't just flip a switch. I know, he replied, his voice thick with the urgency of his feelings. But I want to try. Emily, she's a little girl, and she made me realize how important it is to be connected, to show up for people in our lives. Claire's silence reassured him he was on the right path. Finally, she spoke, okay, let us meet and talk. We can't change the past, but maybe we can start fresh? Really? The hope in his voice was palpable. Yes, let us really talk. As he disconnected, Daniel felt something shift inside him. Was it hope? Relief? The emptiness that had gnawed at him for so long began to fade, replaced by a flicker of possibility. He gazed out the window, staring at the stars that dotted the night sky. But what was it he was truly hoping for? What would reconnecting with Claire really bring? Just as he pondered this, there was a soft knock at the door. Heart racing, he opened it to find Emily standing there, a determined look on her little face. Can we talk? She asked, clutching a small teddy bear to her chest. He looked down at her earnest expression and felt something deep within him pulse with urgency. Of course, Emily. What is a family really made of? She blurted out, surprising him even further. Caught momentarily off guard, Daniel hesitated. He knew this moment held significance, one he mustn't overlook. Let us figure that out together, he replied quietly, his heart pounding as the weight of her innocent question hung heavily between them. As they stepped inside, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that this conversation would change everything. But could he find the answers she desperately sought? Emily climbed onto the couch, tucking her teddy bear beside her like a pillow. Her big, curious eyes locked onto Daniel, and he felt a tug at his heart. She was so small yet so full of questions. What do you think, Daniel? She asked, her voice a blend of innocence and urgency. He leaned back, racking his mind for the right words. A family, huh? It's made of love, I guess. People who care about each other. Emily nodded, processing this, but Daniel could see she wasn't satisfied yet. But what if love runs away? What if people stop caring? He winced at her words. It echoed his own fears. Well, sometimes people do get lost, but they can find their way back. Her brow furrowed slightly, a serious expression on her little face. Like you and Aunt Claire? Daniel felt the weight of her question. Sort of, yeah, like that. Do you think she'll be mad at you? He shook his head, but even he wasn't entirely sure. Maybe, but I hope we can understand each other better. Emily fiddled with the teddy bear's ear, her gaze dropping for a moment. I just want everyone to be happy. I want a real family. The raw honesty in her voice struck him hard. Me too, Em. I want that for you. Like in a story? She asked, her tone full of hope. Where everyone gets along and nobody is sad. He smiled gently, wishing he could promise her that. Yeah, like a story. But we have to work at it. Suddenly, he remembered that his own family was out there, waiting for him to try. Maybe it was time for him to step up, to be the person he needed to be. Can we make our family story, Daniel? She murmured, her eyes wide and pleading. Daniel felt his heart swell. Absolutely. We can start right now. But as he spoke, a sense of foreboding washed over him. Could he really mend the rifts that seemed so deep? What if Claire never forgave him? What if things didn't change, and Emily ended up disappointed again? Just then, the doorbell chimed, cutting through his thoughts. Who asked that? Emily asked, her head tilting. I'm not sure, he replied, glancing at her. Let us find out together. They both stood and padded toward the door, Daniel's heart racing again, this time with anticipation. As he turned the handle, he felt a shifting tide of emotion building. What if it was Claire, ready to confront their past? Or maybe someone else, bearing news, good or bad. When he opened the door, a surprise was waiting outside. It was Mrs. Thompson, the elderly neighbor who had often come over with cookies or just to chat. Daniel, Emily, I brought you both some cookies, and her voice trailed off as she noticed the curious look on Emily's face. Oh my, you two look like you're in deep conversation. Hi, Mrs. Thompson. We're talking about families, Emily said brightly. Families are wonderful, Mrs. Thompson exclaimed. I remember when my children were your age. We had so many adventures. Daniel watched his neighbor, inspiration blooming in his chest. Her simple presence made him realize that family wasn't just about blood. It was about connection, love, and those who unexpectedly come into your life. As Mrs. Thompson regaled them with tales from her past, Daniel felt a wave of warmth wash over him. This was the essence of family, a blend of laughter, stories, and shared moments. Yet, deep inside, he still knew that he had to face Claire again. That layer of unresolved tension remained, as they enjoyed the cookies. Daniel felt hope blooming anew. Could they truly create their family story together? Or would the ghosts of the past haunt their journey? The last taste of a cookie lingered in his mouth as he turned to Emily. We'll start fresh, promise. But remember, it might take time. You can do it, Daniel, she encouraged, her little hand squeezing his. Let us hope so, Em. Let us hope so. But even as he said it, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest part was yet to come. The air was still sweet with the aroma of Mrs. Thompson's cookies, but Daniel could feel the weight of what lay ahead pressing down on him like a heavy blanket that wouldn't let him breathe. Emily's laughter filled the living room as she delighted in the stories, her voice a joyful melody that rang like a bell. But even amidst the laughter, he felt the pit in his stomach grow. Do you remember the time I made your favorite cookies, and we had a cookie-eating contest? Mrs. Thompson reminisced, her eyes twinkling with nostalgia. Daniel chuckled softly, nodding. It was an old favorite that often came up in their chats. He could almost hear the echoes of his own childlike glee. But Emily, being the bright spirit that she was, shifted the conversation. Mrs. Thompson, do you think angels can bring me a dad? Her innocent inquiry stopped everyone in the room as if the air had frozen. Daniel's heart sank. He understood that profound longing mirrored his own feelings. Emily's face was lit up with hope, but Daniel felt a pang of fear. Would it only lead to heartache? Mrs. Thompson looked momentarily taken aback, her kind eyes softening. Oh, sweetie, she began gently, kneeling down to Emily's level. Angels can't exactly bring people to us, but sometimes we find families through our hearts, just like how I found you two as friends. Emily rested her chin on her teddy bear, clearly processing this. But what if I really want one? Daniel felt a tight knot form in his throat. He could see the hope in Emily's eyes dim, just a flicker, but enough to pierce through his defenses. Life can surprise you, Mrs. Thompson continued, smiling encouragingly. You never know what's around the corner. Family can come in many forms. Daniel appreciated her kindness, yet the shadows of uncertainty still hung over him. He wanted to believe her words, but the past felt like a storm he couldn't escape. Before long, Emily piped up again. I don't care how he comes, as long as he loves me. That struck Daniel hard. His eyes met Mrs. Thompson's, and he saw in her expression that she felt it too, that pure, unfiltered desire for connection. Me too, Daniel managed, the words almost choking him. I want that for you. For us. Just then, the bright sound of the doorbell rang again, sharper than before, slicing through the tender moment. Daniel's heart raced. Was it Claire? Would she stand on the other side, filled with a mix of emotions just as tumultuous as his? What if it wasn't her? Could it be someone else bringing more change, perhaps hope? All right, who wants to help me answer that? He asked, trying to keep his voice light despite the nerves clawing at his insides. Me. Emily jumped up, but Daniel noticed her enthusiasm dwindle as she glanced between him and the door. He squeezed her shoulder, a gesture that offered support. Together, they stepped towards the door, each step a heartbeat of torment and anticipation. As he opened the door once again, he was met with an unexpected face, a familiar but not often seen friend from his past. Jacob, his childhood buddy, stood there with an expression that was far from casual. Daniel, we need to talk. It's important, Jacob said, his voice low but urgent. Daniel looked back at Emily, her eyes wide with confusion, uncertainty etched on her small features. What could possibly be so urgent? Daniel felt the heat rise in him. Anger clashed with concern as an instinct to protect Emily kicked in. I can't explain it here, Jacob replied, glancing behind him as if someone might overhear. Daniel's mind raced. Things were spiraling even faster than he could keep up with. As he wrestled with choices in that instant, he recognized that this was the moment where everything could shift. Once again, Emily looked up at him, her little heart in one of reassurance. "Daddy, who is it?" At that moment, decisions lingered like shadows, and Daniel felt the weight of their future teetering at the edge. Would this encounter bring more light or darkness? He breathed slowly, steadied himself, and opened the door wider. Let us see what this is about. But deep down, he knew the challenge before him could either steer their fragile family story toward hope or send it spiraling backward. Jacob stepped into the threshold, his presence a surge of nostalgia mixed with uncertainty. Daniel wanted to focus on his friend's urgent demeanor, but his heart was still tangled in Emily's innocent question. Could angels bring her a dad? It felt pivotal, like a spring that might snap at any moment. "Daniel," Jacob said, lowering his tone even more. "I really need to talk to you. It's about Claire." Daniel felt a lump in his throat. Claire. That name carried its own weight, bringing memories both sweet and bitter. "What about her?" he snapped, his protective instincts flaring. Emily shifted beside him, sensing the tension. "Can we talk about cookies instead?" she chirped, clutching her bear tighter. The contrast of her innocent plea against the adult world of conflict felt overwhelming. "Not right now, Daniel said softly, his voice faltering. He knelt to her level, attempting to shield her from the brewing storm. "Can you go back to Mrs. Thompson? I'll join you in a minute." Emily hesitated, eyes darting between him and Jacob, but finally, she nodded and retreated, her footsteps a soft echo down the hallway. Daniel sensed a brief surge of relief as the door clicked closed, leaving just the three of them, himself, Jacob, and the looming uncertainty. "Daniel, listen," Jacob began, his voice rasping as he glanced at the closed door. "This is about Claire's situation. She's struggling." "She?" Jacob hesitated again, choosing his words carefully. "She's reached out for help. I think she might be coming back." Those words sent ripples of emotion through Daniel. Claire coming back. Part of him knew it could mean everything. Hope, a new beginning for Emily. But another part remembered the hurt, the reasons they ended. "What do you mean, struggling?" Daniel pressed, his heartbeat increasing with each syllable. "Why now?" "Things spiraled. She has had a rough time," Jacob explained. "I don't want to share too much. She deserves privacy, but I think she's realized what she's missing. What you both had." Daniel's stomach twisted as he wrestled with a flood of emotions. He wanted to be hopeful, to believe that Claire could become part of their lives again. But at what cost? Would she truly be stable? He could still feel the edges of past heartaches like jagged glass. "I don't know, Jacob. She hurt Emily. She hurt me too." Jacob nodded, his gaze earnest. "But people change. Sometimes we just need another chance. What if this could be what Emily needs?" As those words hung between them, Daniel's thoughts raced to Emily's innocent wish. Did she need Claire? Would welcoming Claire back threaten the fragile connection they'd built together? "I can't let her break Emily's heart again," Daniel said, finally finding his voice. "What if this is a mistake?" "Maybe it is, but maybe it isn't," Jacob insisted, a sense of urgency pouring from him. "You owe it to Emily to at least consider it. She deserves to know what family can be." Daniel squeezed the bridge of his nose, overwhelmed by the weight of the choices ahead. Behind him, the sound of laughter floated from the kitchen, sweet but tinged with the uncertainty surrounding them. Let us just think about it," Daniel said finally, knowing that another chapter was being written, whether he was ready or not. "Please," Jacob pressed, his eyes fixed on Daniel's. "She needs you both. You can't keep running from this." Taking a deep breath, Daniel opened the door back to the living room, where warmth and laughter contrasted harshly with his tangled thoughts. He spotted Emily perched on the couch beside Mrs. Thompson, confidence shining in her playful smile. In that moment, clarity crashed into him like a wave. Could he risk everything for the possibility of another chance? Could Emily bear such a change? As those thoughts spiraled, he understood this choice, the haunting past, and the enchanting potential of reunion were looming closer than ever. "Daniel?" Emily's voice drew him back. "Can we bake those cookies now, together?" "Yeah," he replied softly, pulling a feeble smile together. "Let us do that." But as they gathered in the kitchen, the question loomed: would baking sweet, warm cookies shield them from the heavy decision ahead, or would they spark the beginning of something entirely new? Daniel turned to look at Jacob, a silent question hanging in the air. Would he dare open that door? Because sometimes, the strongest cookies are those baked with uncertainty, yet filled with hope. The sweet aroma of flour and sugar filled the kitchen, mixing with the faint hum of a classic tune playing softly from the radio. Daniel watched as Emily cheerfully whisked together a bowl of cookie dough, an action so simple, yet so full of joy. Each turn of the whisk brought fleeting oblivion to the chaos in his heart, a remedy against the uncertain future looming over them. He felt tugged back into reality with each glance toward Jacob, who leaned against the kitchen counter, arms crossed, and eyes focused intently on Daniel. The tension hung heavy between them, like the nearly risen dough heady with promise. "Are you okay?" Jacob finally asked, his voice low but steady. Daniel forced a nod, though unease bubbled beneath his composure. "I'm trying to be," he replied, stealing a glance at Emily, blissfully unaware of her father's struggles. She jabbed a finger into the dough, giggling as it stuck to her hands. The innocence in her laughter wrapped around him like a warm blanket, but within it simmered a storm of doubt. Could he genuinely let Claire back into their lives? The thought flared up more questions. Had she changed? Would she stay this time? Or would inviting her back tear apart the fragile happiness they'd built? Emily Jacob's voice broke through his thoughts. "Do you remember anything about Claire?" She paused mid-laugh, her brows furrowing in thought. "Not really. Just that she liked to read stories to me," she said slowly, her cherubic face lighting up with the memory. "And she made the best pancakes." A pang hit Daniel's chest. Claire had always had a natural way with Emily. It was one of the things that attracted him to her in the first place, her warmth, her laughter. But warmth and laughter didn't always translate to stability. "Maybe we should just keep it simple," Jacob urged, extracting Daniel from his thoughts. "You don't have to commit to anything today. Just talk to her again. See where she's at." Daniel clenched his jaw, tried to suppress the whirlwind inside him. "It's not that easy. It's not just us anymore. It's Emily. Her heart is at stake." Emily, oblivious to their intense exchange, turned to him with flour-dusted cheeks and sparkling eyes. "Dad, can I put the chocolate chips in now? I want to make them special." "Of course, sweetie," Daniel managed, forcing off the heaviness that threatened to crush him. He spread a fond smile across his face as she scrambled for the bag of chocolate chips. It was moments like this that made the rest of life's uncertainties fade, if only for a heartbeat. Jacob stepped closer, gentle yet firm. "Daniel, what if Claire coming back is a good thing? What if she could be different this time?" The question reverberated in Daniel's mind. What if? It was a word ballooning with endless possibilities: hope, pain, love, and fear. Each idea twisted into shapes he had not yet formed, a dizzying thought loop. What if she breaks Emily all over again? Daniel snapped, unable to restrain the floodgate of frustration and desperation. "I can't go through that. I can't let you or anyone put her in that position." Emily's face fell, the giggles and laughter suddenly silenced. "Daddy, I promise I won't get hurt again," she said, holding her bear closer as if to shield her heart. "I just want to bake cookies and be happy." Those words cut deeper than Daniel anticipated. Emily's clear and direct wish collided with the chaos inside him, demanding to be heard. He instinctively knelt beside her, cupping her small face in his hands. "You are already happy, Em. I want you to always be happy." She smiled, but Daniel caught the flicker of disappointment in her eyes. Her mood seemed to shift, and he realized she recognized the weight of the conversation that hung in the air. "I just want us to be a family, Daddy," she said softly, her small hands playing with the bear's ear, eyes wide and sincere. Family, the words simmered with obligation and emotion, something he craved and feared all at once. In that moment, an answer began to surface and settle in Daniel's heart, like the rising dough before baking. Maybe the answer lay not in resisting the past, but in facing it head-on. As he shared a knowing glance with Jacob, Daniel felt the slightest edge of resolve in his heart. "Okay, let us bake these cookies first," he said, brushing aside the storm for now. "Then we will talk." Emily squealed in delight as she began adding chocolate chips, her laughter filling the kitchen once more. But as the sweet scent of cookies filled the air, another question lingered in the corners of Daniel's mind. How would he ever decide what family truly meant when it could come with more uncertainties than he could ever imagine? With every chocolate chip that fell into the bowl, The boundaries of their lives felt like they were expanding, shaping into something new, if he only chose to embrace it. As the cookies began to bake, the kitchen turned into a cozy sanctuary filled with warmth and sweetness. Daniel breathed in the mingling scents, allowing the familiar aromas to soothe his frayed nerves. Emily's giggles surrounded him like a comforting melody, wrapping around his heart, yet he felt a tinge of guilt for harboring such heavy thoughts amidst this joyful chaos. Jacob, sensing the shift in Daniel's mood, crossed the room. "You okay?" he asked again, his concern etched in the lines of his face. "Yeah," Daniel replied, but the weight of unease still pressed against his chest. He watched Emily as she peered through the oven door, her eyes practically sparkling with anticipation. I don't want to mess this up for her." Jacob leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "You think talking to Claire will mess her up? Or not talking to her?" "Both," Daniel whispered, his voice barely above a murmur. The pain of the past colliding with the hope for a future. "I keep bouncing between wanting to shield Emily and wanting to offer her a whole family." Just then, Emily spun around, her face smeared with flour and a light in her eyes. She held out a piece of paper, scrawled with childlike drawings and a constellation of crayons. "Look, Daddy," she beamed. "I made us a family picture." At that moment, Daniel's heart swelled, and the chaos in his mind quieted. It was a simple sketch of 3 stick figures holding hands, each figure adorned with a heart, one for him, one for her, and one for a woman whose long hair flowed behind her. "Who is that?" Daniel asked, pointing to the third figure. Emily's smile widened. "That's Mommy. She is coming back, right?" The question hung in the air, heavy with both innocence and hope. Daniel felt a lump in his throat as he grappling with the reality of Claire's absence juxtaposed with Emily's unwavering conviction. He started, but Jacob interrupted gently. "Daniel, maybe it's time to tell her the truth about Claire," Jacob said, his tone encouraging but firm. "She deserves to know." Daniel's heart raced. Was he ready for this? Did she even understand? He could see the anticipation radiate from Emily as she bounced slightly on her toes. Waiting for his answer, her little heart opened to possibilities. "Sweetheart," he began, taking a deep breath. "Your mom, she is not here right now. But sometimes, people come back. Sometimes they really want to try to be better." Emily's expression shifted slightly, her childlike faith flickering just a bit. "You mean, like a miracle?" He smiled, noticing how her face lit up again as the word miracle graced the air like a prayer. "Yes, something like that," he replied softly. Emily thought for a moment, her brow scrunching as she considered his words. "Do you think angels can help?" "Angels?" "Yeah. Like, can they bring Mommy back? Can they make us a whole family?" Daniel's breath caught in his throat. "Do you really think that is possible?" "Anything is possible," she exclaimed with fervor. "And if they can do that, I bet I can ask them to make you happy too." His heart cracked open. The walls he built around his fears suddenly felt fragile against her belief. He whispered, kneeling again, cradling her cheeks in his hands. "I love that you have such a big heart. But life can be complicated." "I know," she replied, her voice softening. "But I just wanted to be happy." Daniel leaned in, pulling her into a warm hug. The chaos of adulthood, with its burdens and uncertainties, melted away for a moment, leaving only the purity of her love. "You make me happy, sweetheart." Jacob watched the exchange, a glimmer of hope sparkling in his eyes. "Maybe we should open ourselves up a bit. To possibilities. To love." Daniel glanced back at Jacob, questions swirling in his mind. Was this really the right moment to embrace the possibility of Claire? Though fear gnawed at him, the idea of returning to Claire felt like teetering on the edge of something dynamic. As the timer dinged, signaling the cookies were done, the aroma enveloped them in sweetness. Daniel stood, wiping the flour from his hands, but this time, the warmth in his chest held more than just the comfort of baked goods. "Let us get those cookies out," he said, taking a deep breath, resolving to face tomorrow no matter how uncertain it felt. Because at that moment, he realized, they weren't just baking cookies, they were baking hope, stirring it into every fold and whisk. And in that kitchen, as laughter and warmth mingled under the golden light, a simple question hung heavy in the air, waiting to be answered. Could angels really bring people together, or was it a leap of faith he had to take on his own? The cookies were a hit. Emily's eyes widened as Daniel pulled the golden treats from the oven, the scent wafting through the kitchen like a warm embrace. Each cookie was a reminder of simple joys, shaping a world where love could flourish, even amid uncertainty. Yay! Can I have one, Daddy? Emily jumped up and down, her flour-dusted shirt adding to her cuteness. Of course, he chuckled, watching her scamper to the counter. As she grabbed one, a sprinkle of flour fell from her hair, and she giggled at the mess. Daniel couldn't help but smile, the anxiety creeping back into his chest overshadowed by her laughter. Jacob reached for a cookie too. Make sure to save some for later, he teased. I might need a midnight snack. Not if I eat them all first, Emily exclaimed, her mouth already full of cookie goodness. As they enjoyed the sweet treat, Daniel felt his resolve gradually strengthening. Emily's innocent questions about angels and family echoed in his mind, both beautiful and terrifying. The hope in her voice stirred something within him. Perhaps talking to Claire wasn't the disaster he envisioned. Maybe it could lead to something meaningful. Can we go get Mommy tomorrow? Emily asked around a mouthful of cookie. Daniel's heart sank at the question. It's not that simple, why not? She looked at him with wide, earnest eyes, her innocence striking him to the core. If we just ask the angels, right? A sigh escaped his lips. How could he explain the complexities, the hurt, the brokenness, the uncertainty? He hesitated. The weight of her question felt heavier than the cookies they had just baked. Jacob cleared his throat, stepping in with a gentle touch. Maybe we should talk about it, Daniel. Tell her what you're feeling. Daniel shot Jacob a grateful glance. It's hard, Em. Your mom, she hasn't been around, he finally said, but I want you to know she loves you. Emily's brow furrowed. But if she loves me, why doesn't she come to see me? Daniel struggled to find the right words, the truth battling against the desire to protect her. Sometimes, people get lost in their own struggles. They need time to find their way back. Like how I get lost in the park. Emily asked, tilting her head. Exactly, baby. And sometimes it takes longer for some people to find the right path. Can't we help her? She pressed, her small hands gripping the counter. Daniel felt tears prick at his eyes. Her resolve was incredible, yet it made him feel more helpless. I wish we could, sweetheart. Maybe we could reach out to her. Emily brightened at the idea, a glimmer of hope igniting in her brown eyes. Can we call her angels? Angels? Yeah, you said they help people. Can we ask them to help Mommy? Her belief astonished him. We can light a candle, maybe even say a prayer. Emily's face broke into a smile, a glow that seemed to light up the entire room. Like a wishing star, she exclaimed, her excitement contagious. Daniel chuckled, the heaviness in his heart lifting just a bit. Yeah, just like that. Just then, the phone rang. Jacob glanced at Daniel, raising an eyebrow, a knowing look passing between them. Who could that be? Daniel murmured, anxiety creeping back. He stepped over to the phone, hesitating for the briefest moment before picking it up. Hello? Daniel? It's Claire. The world stood still as recognition washed over him, each heartbeat echoing in his ears. Faced with the voice from his past, the one he thought he'd left behind, he grappled with the surge of emotions. Would this be the moment they could finally untangle the threads of their complicated history? Claire? He replied, his voice barely above a whisper. The silence that followed held the weight of every unspoken word, every unresolved feeling. What did she want? Was this the chance for the miracle Emily had so fervently believed in, or a step deeper into chaos? Daniel's heart raced, barely able to process the possibilities. This was just the beginning. Daniel's breath caught in his throat as he waited for Claire to speak. The seconds felt like hours, thick with unspoken words piled high between them. He could feel Emily's small hands tugging at the hem of his shirt, sensing the tension in the air, and he shot her a quick, reassuring smile. Daniel, Claire finally said, her voice trembling slightly, I hope it's not too late. I need to see Emily. His heart skipped a beat. The sudden urgency in her tone sent a rush of conflicting emotions through him: fear, disbelief, and the tiniest flutter of hope. Is this a joke? He asked, fighting to keep his voice steady. You haven't been around, not for her birthdays, not for anything. I know I've made mistakes, but I want to make it right, Claire said, her sincerity shining through. I miss her, and I miss us. Emily's bright, inquisitive eyes remained fixed on Daniel, reading his expression for clues. As he stood there, grappling with the truth and the memories that threatened to drown him, he could see her little face reflecting nothing but hope. "Is Mommy coming home?" Emily asked softly, her voice cutting through the rising tension. Daniel's heart broke a little more at the question. "Honey, it's complicated," he managed to say, his voice strained. Claire continued, "I want to explain everything to Emily. I want to try. What about all the reasons you left?" He interrupted, the frustration boiling up inside him. "How do I explain that to her? How do I tell her about the nights spent waiting for you to come home? Or the emptiness when you didn't?" Daniel's words came tumbling out, confusion and anger mingling with old wounds. The sight of Emily, wide-eyed and innocent, only magnified his pain. Claire's silence stretched between them, thickening the air like a storm cloud. A part of him wanted to reach out, to hear her side, while another part felt protective, desperate to shield Emily from disappointment. "Please, Daniel," Claire said, her voice dipping into a pleading tone. "I want to try for Emily. She deserves a chance. We all do." Daniel closed his eyes for a moment, letting his emotions swirl around him. Memories flooded back, happy times, laughter, the way Claire's touch used to ground him. Were they enough to outweigh the chaos she brought? "Can I talk to her?" Emily's voice broke through the tension again. She bounced slightly on the balls of her feet, her innocent expectation a balm against the storm of his thoughts. Taking a deep breath, Daniel looked down at Emily, whose brown eyes mirrored the hope he once had. "Okay, I'll let you talk," he said slowly, cautious but willing to take a step toward possibility. He handed the phone to her, cupping her tiny hands in his while Claire's voice crackled through. "Hi, baby, it's Mommy." Emily's face lit up, pure joy mingling with confusion. "Mommy, I've been waiting for you. Can angels help you come home?" Daniel's heart swelled as he watched Emily, feeling both proud and fearful. He couldn't help but wonder what Claire would say next. The air felt electric with anticipation, a heavy weight on Daniel's chest. "I hope so, sweet girl," Claire replied, her voice softened by emotion. "I need to come home too." In that moment, a tiny flicker of hope ignited within Daniel. But as he watched Emily gripping the phone tightly, he couldn't help but wonder if hope could really bridge the gaps time had worn so deeply. What if this phone call was the beginning of something beautiful, or the start of another heartbreak? As he listened to their conversation unfold, both fear and hope danced through him. Would Claire be able to keep her promise this time, or was he setting them all up for another fall? As uncertainty loomed, a thought flashed in Daniel's mind. Could angels really mend broken families? There was only one way to find out. The kitchen radiated warmth, filled with the sweet scent of cookies and fresh hopes. Daniel stood, watching Emily's bright face light up as she conversed with Claire, her mother. The innocence in her eyes shimmered with emotions he couldn't fully grasp himself. "Mommy, can you come home tomorrow? We're baking cookies." The words flew from Emily's mouth, a simple, joyous request that echoed in the spacious kitchen, bringing the chaos to a standstill. Daniel's heart raced as he steadied himself against the counter. Could Claire really be ready to come back? Was this the miracle Emily had wished for, or merely a fleeting glimmer of hope? "Sweetheart, I want to come home," Claire said softly through the phone, her voice trembling slightly. "But it's complicated. I need some time to figure things out." A shadow fell across Daniel's face. "Complicated? You've had plenty of time." He winced as his frustration bled into his words. "Emily has been waiting for you. How can she trust you again? Please, Daniel." Claire's voice held an urgency that pulled at the edges of his heart. "I genuinely want to be part of her life, and I want to make things right. But I need you to help me, to give me a chance." Daniel glanced at Emily, who was bouncing slightly on her toes, excitement radiating. Her joy felt infectious, yet tempered by the prickly fear nestling in his chest. "This is not just about you and me anymore," he said softly, gripping the kitchen counter. "It's about her." Emily giggled, her innocent laughter ringing in the background. "Mommy, I made a picture of our family. You're in it." Daniel watched as Emily's eyes sparkled with hope. He caught a glimpse of the girl who only wanted love and connection. Claire paused, her silence heavy and contemplative. "I want to see that picture, baby. I promise I will do everything I can to earn my place back in your heart." With each word, Daniel could feel Emily's heart swelling. But could he protect her from the pain should things go wrong? "We can begin again." We can be a family. Just give me time, Claire said, almost pleading now. Daniel wrestled with his emotions. Time. They all needed time. But would it be enough? Could Claire really change? Mommy, when are you coming home? Emily's bright voice cut through the storm of Daniel's thoughts, pulling him back into the present. I'll do my best, sweetheart. I promise, Claire replied, and Daniel felt a shiver run through him. Could he rely on this promise? Rising from behind the kitchen counter, he reached for Emily, whose small hand gripped his tightly. Listen, Em, he said, kneeling beside her. I need you to understand something. Your mom wants to come back, but it's going to take a real commitment from her and from us. What is commitment? She asked, her innocent curiosity making Daniel's heart swell and ache all at once. It means showing up, day after day, and proving through actions that we really care, he explained carefully, wanting desperately to protect her from disillusionment. Emily thought for a moment, her brow furrowing. Like how I show you I care by cleaning up my toys. She asked earnestly. Exactly, baby. It's about doing things to show you love someone. Daniel caught Claire's gaze through the phone, her expression tightening with understanding. But I want her to come back and be happy, Daddy, Emily urged, her voice bubbling with enthusiasm. Daniel smiled gently, though his heart was fraught with uncertainty. Me too, Em. But just remember, loving someone doesn't always mean it's easy. We need to be open, ready to work together. Like cookie baking, she exclaimed, her joy breaking the clouds of doubt for a moment. Exactly. Daniel's heart lightened as he glanced at the cookies cooling on the rack, realizing the simple sweetness they all shared. Claire's voice was quiet. I promise I will show up like you both deserve. Daniel felt a rush of warmth. Could she really commit? Okay, he nodded slowly, determination blooming. Let us take it one step at a time. First, you'll meet with Emily, and then we can I come tomorrow? Claire interjected. Emily's eyes darted between them, hope filling the air like sugar dust. Daniel hesitated, glancing at Emily's eager expression. Could he do this? Let us start with a call, he suggested, trying to temper the whirlwind of emotions. Okay. Emily cheered, an infectious warmth spreading through the room. The air sparkled with hope again, each heartbeat a promise of new beginnings. Maybe love could conquer the ghosts of the past. Maybe family wasn't just an idea. It was something they could build together. As their conversation continued, Daniel felt snippets of anxiety drift away, replaced by the notion that small steps could lead to monumental changes. Maybe they could be a family again if he took that leap. If he explored the magic of possibilities just as angels were supposed to do. For the first time, he believed perhaps angels could bring people together after all. And with that, the promise of tomorrow seemed less daunting. Hey, Emily exclaimed suddenly, her face lighting up. Can we bake cookies for Mommy, too? Daniel chuckled, warmth flooding his chest. Absolutely. Let us make her the best cookies she's ever had. Family, he realized, was about more than just blood. It was about connection, love, and the willingness to come together and make it work through cookies and chaos. As they settled back into their kitchen rhythm, sweetness would replace bitterness, and hope would dance among the flour dust, as Daniel welcomed the true transformation ahead. And the love that was always there would finally flourish. So could angels really bring them together? Only time would tell, but in that moment, he held on to the belief that tomorrow could be a new beginning. Now more than ever, he knew they were ready to face whatever waited together. If you enjoyed this transformation and journey, you need to subscribe now to our channel, so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support us. Comment your feelings and reactions about this ending. We want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this kind of transformation. This is the moment to show your support.